Stop believing the absolute lie that you have to drop $2,000 on a premium Italian flagship just to survive the duck blind. The old guard wants you burning your entire gear budget on a single firearm, but modern manufacturing has turned sub-$1,100 workhorses into indestructible platforms that shrug off freezing mud and cycle heavy magnums flawlessly. If you ignore these rigs, you are burning cash you could spend on vital decoys and extreme weather gear. Today, we are ranking the top 5 budget waterfowl shotguns dominating the market, culminating in an absolute fail-safe pump-action survival tool at number 1. Starting our list at number 5 is the Stoeger M3500 waterfowl. Call it the heavy payload specialist. Manufactured under the Benelli umbrella, it delivers the highly coveted inertia-driven system at a fraction of the cost. Under the hood, it operates entirely on kinetic energy conservation, eliminating gas ports completely. Upon firing the heavy bolt, body floats momentarily, while the shotgun recoils rearward, compressing a massive internal inertia spring. This spring violently expands to unlock the rotary head and cycle the action. Chambered in 12-gauge, it feeds massive 3.5-inch Super Magnum shells. Pushing heavy payloads of hard steel, shot at 1,500 feet per second, it delivers maximum pellet density and terminal kinetic energy to neutralize high-flying targets at 60 yards. Imagine sitting in a layout blind during a freezing late-season hunt. Because this system isolates corrosive propellant gases from the receiver, it cycles flawlessly even when the action is packed with ice and marsh mud. Compared to gas-operated guns that foul up with carbon and require constant field stripping, this inertia workhorse runs indefinitely with virtually zero maintenance. But here is the brutal truth. Because there is no gas valve to bleed pressure, the recoil is absolutely punishing. Weighing nearly 8 pounds, the gun attempts to absorb the shock, but shooting heavy magnums will physically batter your shoulder, requiring a strict break-in period. Retailing around $800, this is the ultimate instrument for the operator demanding extreme payload capacity. Stepping up to number 4 is the Weatherby Element 2 waterfowl. Call it the mobile timber ghost. It represents a fiercely competitive entry into the value-tier inertia market, prioritizing aggressive weight reduction. Under the hood, it utilizes a pure inertia-driven operating system, completely eliminating the complex network of gas valves and pistons. It relies on a heavy inertia spring, compressed by the rearward kinetic movement of the lightweight chassis, to forcefully unlock the rotary bolt head and cycle the action. Chambered in 12-gauge, it feeds 3-inch Magnum waterfowl loads. Pushing high-density non-toxic shot at 1,500 feet per second, it delivers the devastating terminal ballistics required to instantly neutralize fast-flying targets at standard decoying ranges. Imagine wading miles into a flooded public timber hole where rapid instinctual target acquisition is paramount. Because this ultralight chassis weighs an astonishing 6.8 pounds, you possess a lightning-fast pointing shotgun that minimizes physical fatigue during an exhausting hike. Compared to heavier gas-operated platforms that drag you down in the marsh, this lightweight inertia rig allows for a fluid rapid swing when jump shooting erratic targets in tight quarters. But here is the brutal truth. Because it lacks a gas valve and has very little physical mass to absorb, the shockwave-firing heavy magnums produces a violently sharp recoil impulse and significant muzzle flip, severely degrading your ability to stay on target for a rapid follow-up shot. Retailing around $700, this is the ultimate instrument for the operator demanding an agile all-weather tool. Entering the top 3 at number 3 is the Beretta A300 Ultima waterfowl. Call it the precision blind hunter. This platform is the spiritual successor to a legendary Italian lineage engineered to dominate the mid-tier market. Under the hood, it utilizes a self-cleaning gas-operated system optimized for a 3-inch pressure curve. Expanding propellant gases are bled from the barrel into a cylinder, driving a piston rearward to violently cycle the action. It integrates a hydraulic recoil reduction system, embedding dampeners within the stock to actively absorb kinetic energy. Chambered in 12-gauge, it feeds 3-inch Magnum waterfowl loads, pushing high-density non-toxic shot at 1,400 feet per second. It delivers the crushing kinetic energy required to ethically neutralize fast-flying targets at 50 yards. Imagine tracking erratic targets from a stationary layout blind, wearing thick neoprene gloves. Because the heavy 7.6-pound receiver features a widened competition-style loading port, you seamlessly shove shells into the magazine without pinching your frozen thumbs. Compared to brutal inertia-driven platforms that physically batter your shoulder, this gas-regulated system drastically reduces peak felt recoil, allowing for exceptionally fast follow-up shots. But here is the brutal truth. The physical compression of the hydraulic stock creates a spongy shifting sensation against your shoulder that actively disrupts your sight picture recovery, making the recoil event feel awkwardly prolonged. Retailing around $900, this is the ultimate instrument for the operator, demanding superior machining tolerances and absolute recoil mitigation. Coming in hot at number 2 is the Winchester SuperX4 Waterfowl Hunter. Call it the high-volume gas benchmark. It represents the highly refined 4th generation of a legendary Browning lineage engineered to dominate the mid-tier space. Under the hood, the beating heart is a proprietary active valve gas system. As the payload travels down, the bore-expanding propellant gases bleed into a sealed cylinder, driving a self-adjusting piston rearward. This kinetic energy forcefully unlocks the breech, while the valve instantly vents excess high-pressure gas outward, extending the mechanical lifespan of the receiver. Chambered in 12-gauge, it cycles massive 3.5-inch Super Magnum shells. Pushing heavy non-toxic payloads at 1,500 feet per second, it delivers devastating stopping power to eliminate high-flying threats at 60 yards. Imagine grinding through a high-volume snow goose conservation hunt. Because the 7.1-pound chassis is perfectly balanced forward, with an inflex recoil pad, you effortlessly maintain your swing without fatiguing your shoulder. Compared to brutal inertia-driven systems that require your body to absorb the entire kinetic event, this active valve mechanically smooths the punishing recoil impulse, allowing for blisteringly fast follow-up shots. But here is the brutal truth. This gas system directly introduces carbon fouling into the piston housing. When this carbon mixes with freezing marsh mud, it forms an abrasive sludge, demanding a rigorous field maintenance schedule to prevent cyclic failures. Retailing around $900, this is the ultimate instrument for the recoil-sensitive operator. Taking the absolute throne at number 1 is the Benelli SuperNova Waterfowl. Call it the Indestructible pump benchmark. It exists to provide absolute fail-safe mechanical certainty when semi-automatics choke in the worst environments imaginable. Under the hood, it abandons traditional construction for an advanced steel skeletal framework completely overmolded with high-tech polymer. This creates a seamless unitary receiver impervious to rust. It utilizes a heavy-duty dual-action bar pump mechanism and a rotary bolt head locking directly into a steel barrel extension for bank vault solidity. Chambered in 12-gauge, it feeds massive 3.5-inch Super Magnum shells. Pushing payloads of non-toxic shot at 1,500 feet per second, it delivers catastrophic kinetic energy capable of neutralizing heavy targets, pushing 65 yards. Imagine operating from a layout boat with freezing salt spray coating your gear. Because this 8-pound rig features a proprietary magazine disconnect button on the forend, you can instantly eject a chambered shell and drop a new payload into the open breech without cycling the entire tube. Compared to complex semi-automatics that seize up when packed with glacial mud, this pump action relies purely on your physical arm strength, ensuring zero environmental malfunctions. But here is the brutal truth. The manual pump action fundamentally limits your cyclic rate. If you miss your first shot, the physical act of violently racking the slide will inevitably disrupt your sight picture, costing you critical time. Retailing around $600, this is the undisputed king for the operator, demanding uncompromising survival-grade durability. That wraps up our strategic evaluation of the top 5 budget waterfowl shotguns for 2026. The lesson here is absolute and undeniable. You do not need to burn your entire gear budget on a single flagship firearm just to survive the freezing marsh. These sub-premium platforms prove that modern manufacturing and advanced metallurgy provide the catastrophic kinetic energy and absolute reliability you need to ethically neutralize targets at extreme ranges. By keeping your capital available for vital decoys and extreme weather gear, you become a vastly more effective operator in the field. Now I want to hear your after-action report down in the comments. When the temperature drops below zero and the mud freezes solid, do you trust the clean-running, brutal recoil of an inertia-driven workhorse? Or do you prefer the soft-shooting, but dirty gas-operated platforms to maintain your cyclic rate? Sound off below. Train hard, stay sharp, and I will see you on the next deployment.